The stars blurred past a reinforced window of the command module as Commander Alara Quinn adjusted her seatbelt. Even after 3 lunar missions, the approach never ceased to twist her gut into a knot of awe and apprehension. This time, though, it wasn't all the moon's stark, sunlit craters that gripped her. It was what they might find hidden among them. She turned slightly in her seat to glance at her crew. Lieutenant Malik Reyes, her second-in-command, was silent, eyes fixed on the telemetry readouts. The youngest of the team, Specialist Anika Voss, muttered under her breath as she calibrated the landing equipment. Despite her youth, Anika was a prodigy in deep scan analysis. She had been the one to spot it first, a flicker on a lunar imaging feed, something too symmetrical to be natural, something that had no official record. NASA hadn't briefed them about it. They were told it was a routine survey mission. But Alara wasn't one to ignore anomalies, especially not ones quietly flagged in a hidden folder, marked with an obsolete clearance level. There were things even she, a decorated mission commander, wasn't supposed to see. Approaching landing coordinates. Adjusting pitch, Anika announced. Her voice was steady, but her eyes flickered to Alara with a question neither of them voiced aloud. Reyes finally spoke, his voice low. "There's no reason to send us here unless someone thinks the site's real." "I know," Alara replied, fingers tightening on her armrest. "That's what worries me." The module's descent was smooth, practiced. Dust billowed up in slow motion as the landing pads touched down, stirring the silence of a place that hadn't been disturbed for millennia, or ever, if you believed official records. The crater's rim loomed to the west, shadowed and jagged, and at its center lay the target, a vague, half-buried silhouette in the regolith that looked like the skeleton of a building. The crew suited up in silence, the moon's void pressing around them as they stepped onto the surface, their boots leaving crisp impressions in the dust. The object, no, the structure, rose gradually as they approached, revealing a shape that defied easy classification. It was too angular, too geometric, as if a piece of forgotten civilization had fallen from time. "This isn't a rock formation," Anika said, breath fogging her visor, even though they all knew that already. Reyes crouched by a jutting edge, brushing dust away. "There's scoring here. Straight lines. Cut marks. Someone built this." Alara felt a coldness that had nothing to do with the vacuum of space. "Scan it," she ordered. "All frequencies. Thermal, magnetic, subsurface." As Anika pulled out the equipment, a low tremor vibrated through the ground. All 3 froze. "Quake?" Reyes asked. "Nothing on the seismometer." Anika said. That wasn't geological. The readings began to pour in, and with them came the first true jolt of fear. Beneath the dust and rock was an extensive lattice of interconnected chambers. The complex stretched far beyond what was visible, deep underground. "It's a city?" Anika whispered. "A buried city." Reyes stared at the scanner, then turned to Alara. "How the hell did no one know about this?" Alara shook her head slowly. "I think they did. They just didn't want us to find it." A soft static buzzed in their comms. Then a voice crackled through, a voice that hadn't been part of their crew. "You need to leave." 3 words, spoken in calm, unaccented English, and then silence. "Did that come from Houston?" Reyes asked, his voice sharp. "No signal from mission control," Anika said after a tense pause. "The comm links, isolated. That transmission didn't come from Earth." Alara's breath caught in her throat. Her training screamed at her to retreat, to follow the protocol drilled into her during classified simulations. But protocol didn't account for ghost cities and phantom transmissions. "Run another trace," she said. "Now." The structure loomed larger now, its edges less eroded the deeper they walked. What had once been shadowy outlines now revealed themselves as doorways, windows, impossible glass that shimmered beneath layers of dust, unbroken by time. The silence around them felt charged, as if the city itself was holding its breath. They reached what seemed to be an entrance, a doorway framed in unfamiliar symbols. Alara stepped forward, brushing her gloved hand against the surface. The symbols pulsed faintly, reacting. Behind her, Anika let out a sharp gasp. "It's recognizing us. Something's activating." A low hum began to rise from beneath their feet. Ilara didn't hesitate. Back to the module. We need to record everything, and... The ground beneath Reyes gave way with a sudden, muffled crack. He fell, disappearing into darkness before either of them could react. Malik, Ilara lunged forward, dropping to her knees at the edge of the hole. Reyes respond. Static. Anika scanned frantically. He's alive. I'm getting vitals. He's below us. Deep. Ilara swallowed her panic. This was no longer an exploratory mission. It was a rescue. But even more, it was confirmation. Something ancient lay beneath them. Something buried not by time, but perhaps by intent. And someone or something still watched. Behind her, the cymbals pulsed again. And then, from within the hole, Reyes's voice crackled through the comm. Ilara, you need to see this. The hum grew louder, and the doorway began to open.
The chamber was vast, too vast to exist beneath the moon's surface without anyone knowing. Walls of smooth, obsidian-like material curved outward into a cathedral of shadows and strange geometry. Lights flickered along the edges, not from Ilara's helmet lamp, but from something internal, something alive within the walls themselves. She descended cautiously, the lift harness humming as she lowered herself through the jagged breach. Reyes had fallen at least 50 meters. He was waiting at the bottom, helmet cracked but functional, standing beside what looked like a column carved with symbols either of them could recognize. "You okay?" she asked, landing beside him. He nodded, eyes wide. "Didn't even break a rib. The dust cushioned most of it. But Ilara, this place." She followed his gaze. The chamber stretched out in impossible symmetry. Dozens of alcoves lined the walls, each holding what looked like massive, upright pods, sealed, dormant, but humming softly. No dust here. No debris. Just silence and low, pulsating energy. Anika's voice buzzed into the comms. "I've stabilized the breach. Sending down the portable relay. You've got 10 minutes before we start losing core comm functions." "Copy," Ilara replied, eyes scanning. "Reyes found something. We're not alone down here." She didn't mean it figuratively. Each pod, identical in size and form, bore marks similar to those above, symbols that pulsed faintly at their approach, lighting up like constellations. She approached one slowly. Inside, a shape. Humanoid. Or near enough to it that her mind stumbled into belief. "Ilara," Reyes murmured. "That's a body." It was. Tall, elongated limbs. Narrow face. Skin like dark marble laced with silver veins. Eyes closed. Features too symmetrical, too perfect. A being held in suspended animation, preserved across what must have been an eternity. "Is it alien?" he asked. She couldn't answer. Something in her gut resisted the word. Behind them, a chime sounded, melodic and low. One of the pods flickered brighter, then darkened. And then another. A chain reaction, passing through the chamber like a slow-moving wave. Not waking. Just acknowledging. The hum rose again, like before. But this time, it had a rhythm. Footsteps echoed. Ilara raised her flashlight instinctively, heart thundering. But it was Anika, climbing down from the breach. Her face was pale behind the visor. "I picked up a data signal," she said breathlessly. "Encrypted. Old-style binary. It's broadcasting from inside this structure. This city. It's trying to communicate." "Can you translate it?" Reyes asked. "Some of it. It's layered. Almost fractal in construction. But the first phrase was clear." She hesitated, as if the words themselves felt wrong in her mouth. "It said we were abandoned." The silence that followed pressed heavier than gravity. Ilara looked back at the pod in front of her. The being inside hadn't moved. None had. But she felt the change in the air, an unseen awareness blooming around them. "If they were abandoned," Reyes said slowly, "who left them? And why?" Anika shook her head. "That's not all. The data stream references a location. Earth coordinates." "Earth?" Ilara's voice hardened. That confirms it. Someone down there already knows. She took a step back from the pod. There was no denying it now. This wasn't a ruin. It was a vault. A prison. Or a tomb waiting to be disturbed. And somehow, someone had built it, either from Earth or long before Earth's civilizations took their first breath. Reyes glanced at Alara. Do we tell Houston? Anika answered first. If we send this data up, it'll vanish into a black file. You know that. We'll be ordered to shut this down and say nothing. Exactly, Alara said. And maybe they'll send another crew to wipe it clean. She stared up at the chamber ceiling. This mission had always felt wrong. Too vague. Too clean. Like they were being sent not to discover, but to confirm. And now they had. Reyes gestured to one of the pods. If these beings were abandoned, maybe they weren't the threat. Maybe they were the warning. Alara turned to Anika. How long until the data stream finishes? 20 minutes at least. If we interrupt, we lose most of it. Then we hold. Alara activated her personal recorder, voice low. Commander Quinn. Lunar Mission Tantalus. Unofficial log. We've uncovered a subterranean complex beneath the moon's surface, housing what appear to be cryogenically suspended humanoid figures. Evidence suggests intelligent origin and pre-human design. Intent appears unknown. Communication initiated. We are being watched. She clicked off the recorder and took a breath. Above them, the structure groaned, metal or stone shifting in distant rooms. The city wasn't just buried. It was breathing. And deep in the darkness, something stirred. The humming deepened as Alara pressed a gloved hand against the pod's surface. Beneath her touch, a flicker of warmth pulsed, brief and unmistakably alive. Her breath caught, a fragile silence following as she stepped back, instinct warning her that something was beginning, something they could not stop. Behind her, Anika worked feverishly at the portable relay, fingers flying across the interface. The data stream was growing denser, folding in on itself in layers that shouldn't have been possible. Human code didn't behave this way, it evolved, like language reshaping itself mid-sentence. It's rewriting, she muttered. Not just transmitting, it's reacting to us. Reyes circled the perimeter of the chamber, scanning the alcoves. This isn't just a vault, he said. It's adaptive. Every movement we make, it's like it's watching, cataloging. Alara kept her eyes on the pod. The being inside had not stirred, but the energy in the chamber had shifted. The air, though artificial, felt charged. The moon should have been dead rock, yet here, everything thrummed with intelligence. Commander, Anika said, her voice low. This signal, it's not one way. There's a second stream, coming from orbit. Alara turned sharply. From the module? No. Something else. Synchronous orbit. Hidden from our scans? Reyes's voice tightened. They followed us. No one said who they were. The word hung between them, thick with implication. The mission had been too quiet from the start. Too clean. No press coverage. No public updates. They weren't the only ones who had known about the anomaly, just the only ones sent to touch it. Alara's thoughts raced. Can you isolate the signal? Anika nodded, sweat beading at her brow inside the helmet. I can mask our telemetry. But if they're here to monitor, or intervene, we may already be compromised. Reyes joined them, his voice grim. We need to make a decision. We stay, we risk being locked in. We leave, we may never return. They all turned as a sharp click echoed through the chamber. A doorway behind one of the alcoves had opened, on its own. Beyond it, only darkness. Alara's breath slowed. The decision had already been made. They hadn't just found something alien, they'd been invited in. We go, she said, drawing the emergency light baton from her hip. The corridor beyond the threshold was narrow, lined with panels that shimmered faintly as they passed. It sloped downward, winding deep into the city's buried heart. Their suits adjusted automatically to the thinning atmosphere, another impossibility. The moon had no air. But the deeper they went, the more breathable it became. Anika whispered, more to herself than anyone else. Artificial biosphere. Self-sustaining? Reyes frowned. But how long has it been running? Alara didn't answer. Ahead, the corridor widened into another chamber, smaller, circular, filled with floating fragments of crystal. They hovered midair, spinning slowly, surrounded by soft blue light. A control room. Or maybe a memory core. Reyes reached toward a shard, and as his fingers brushed it, light exploded around them. Images. Cities not made by human hands, rising beneath unfamiliar skies. Towers grown, not built. Beings like those in the pods walking among them, clothed in robes of starlight. A sky filled with twin moons. A planet not Earth. Then fire. A crack in the sky. Something monstrous descending. The world tearing. And then silence. The images vanished, leaving only the crystal, still humming softly. Alara turned to Anika, who looked stunned. They came here, she said slowly. Fleeing something. This isn't their home. It was a refuge. A last hope. Reyes's voice cracked. And we were never meant to find it. Alara looked at them both. No. We were meant to. That's why the signal activated. It didn't call for help. It called us. The silence returned, deeper than before. A realization settled over them. This place wasn't just a vault of history. It was a relay point. A warning station. And now that they had triggered it, they had entered into whatever legacy it protected. Anika touched her tablet. The second signal, it's moving. The object in orbit, it's descending. Reyes's voice turned sharp. How long? 7 minutes. Alara's mind moved faster than her words. Upload what you can. Strip the modules. We're taking the data physically. We can't transmit it, not if we're being intercepted. Reyes was already on the comms. Initiating emergency ascent protocol. Prepping for hostile response. Anika stuffed the core shard into a containment pouch. We need to go. Now. They raced back through the corridor, the lights behind them dimming as they moved, like the city knew they were leaving. Knew the time had come. Above them, the module's engines began spooling. As they reached the breach, Alara turned one last time. The pods were still sealed. Silent. Watching. She didn't know if they would wake. But something had. And it was coming. The module's cabin shook with restrained urgency as Alara secured her harness, eyes flicking over the control panel. Outside, the moon's pale dust whirled in cyclonic spirals as the engines engaged. The complex below lay silent now, no lights, no pulses, no whisper of invitation. As if it had receded back into dormancy, hiding once more beneath the surface of history and myth. Reyes clambered into his seat opposite her, his expression stony. We got it all. Core fragment, logs, visuals. Enough to keep 100 labs busy for a decade, if we ever get it home. Anika sealed the last equipment case and locked herself into the comms console. Her hands trembled slightly as she adjusted the frequency filters. The object is within atmospheric drag range. No signature. No propulsion trail. It's just falling. Alara didn't respond. Her mind was a cyclone of impressions, the pods, the images, the signal that had rewritten itself in real time. And now this silent craft descending from the black. Autopilot disengaged, she said flatly. Manual ascent initiated. 10 seconds to burn. The countdown began. 10, 9, 8, each second a weight pressing against her chest. The moment the thrusters ignited, a sound like the cracking of the sky roared through the ship. The inertial dampeners kicked in hard, grinding her bones against the harness. They rose fast, the crater shrinking beneath them, the lunar curvature unfolding like an ancient, frozen wave. But they weren't alone in the sky. The object came into view, no more than a dark sliver at first, then a jagged silhouette that eclipsed the stars. It wasn't sleek. It wasn't beautiful. It looked broken. Fragmented. Like a wound in space. Anika's voice was taut. It's not targeting us. It's descending, straight toward the complex. Elara stared, brow furrowed. Return mission? Guardian? Or the thing they fled from? Reyes leaned forward, squinting. Or maybe it's all of that. The object slowed as it reached the upper atmosphere. Then, in complete silence, it stopped. A second later, their comms lit up, just a single line of audio. No distortion, no signal trace. Do not take what is not yours. The line cut. Systems flickered. Their navigation went blind. Anika's voice cracked. We're locked out. Guidance, telemetry, everything. It's overriding the flight systems. Elara gripped the manual controls. Fall back, nav, use store trajectory plots. We still have thrusters. Reyes cursed under his breath. This isn't a warning. It's a test. The words lingered in the cabin. Elara didn't need to ask what he meant. Whatever intelligence had sent that message, whether it was from Earth, the buried city, or the entity above, it had let them in. It had wanted to see how far they'd go. We're accelerating, Anika said. It's giving us a corridor. They broke through the gravity well, the moon shrinking behind them. The strange object drifted above the surface now, unmoving, either attacking nor retreating. Watching. Set a course for Lagrange Point 1. Elara ordered. We'll rendezvous with the relay satellite and send a data burst to Houston. Reyes gave her a look. Assuming Houston doesn't already know what we've found. Then we'll make sure someone else does, she said. If this stays buried again, there might not be another warning. Anika sat back, breathing heavily. Why now? Why us? Elara didn't answer right away. She stared at the data core between her boots, silent, inert. But it wasn't dead. It pulsed faintly, a soft rhythm against the silence. I think it's always been waiting, she said. Waiting for someone who wouldn't lie. Wouldn't bury it. Someone who would look and listen. Reyes gave a low chuckle, but it held no humor. And when the truth's out? Elara looked at him, jaw firm. Then it's everyone's burden to carry. The cabin dimmed as they left lunar orbit. The relay station glimmered ahead, catching the light like a silent witness. The silence in the cabin thickened, not with fear, but with knowledge. A weight none of them could shrug off. Behind them, the moon turned away slowly, a graveyard of secrets sealed once again beneath the dust. But not forgotten. Not this time.